welcome to another episode of Field of Play. My name is Ellie, and today we are going to be looking into the group of death and the supposed curse over the Black Star. So over the years, Ghana has played in about 4 World Cups, and in each time, Ghana is placed in a group of death. It's as if FIFA or the gods of football don't want us to progress from our stage. Even though several times we've faced very difficult opposition, we've been able to deliver a very good performance, making the whole Ghana proud and the world proud too of us. So we're going to have a look at the various World Cup tournaments that Ghana has played in, and each group of death that Ghana has been played in, and the various teams that were in these various groups of death. All right, so let's get into the details. Okay, so over the years, Ghana had been fighting to make it to the World Cup. I mean, from the times when the legendary Pele came to Ghana to play with Hearts of Oak. I mean, when he went back to the world, he came with Santos to come and play with Hearts of Oak, or was it? Yes, with Santos come and play with Hearts of Oak. And even I think at a point, Real Madrid also came to Ghana to come and play with Hearts of Oak. So when these players come to Ghana, they see the exceptional skills that the locals have. So when Pele went back, he said, look, we should wait for a small country or a country called Ghana to come to the World Cup. And when we come, we would show the world what football is about. So eventually, Ghana was able to make it to the World Cup in 2006 in Germany. And we had the likes of Michael Essien, Sule Muntari, Stephen Appiah, Asamoah Gyan, and the likes. I mean, a very wonderful crop of players that I think Ghana has not had such players in a very long time, even though we have some very good players right now. But that particular team, because the bulk of them played for Liberty and they played or they rose through the ranks of the various divisions of the Ghana national teams, they were able to form a sort of a cohesion, and they sort of understood each other properly, and they had this sort of telepathy in terms of play. So that team, I mean, was a very, very, very good team. So in 2006, Ghana was placed in the group of death. That was Group E. Now we're playing against Czech Republic, who at that time were ranked second in the world. We played against Italy, who at the time were ranked 13th in the world, and this was a former World Cup winner. We played against USA, or in the group against USA, who were ranked 5th in the FIFA ranking, and Ghana was sitting at the number 48 position in the FIFA world ranking. Now this was a very difficult task, but Ghana was able to put up a very good performance, and the whole country and the world saw what Pele saw in Ghana, that what Ghana had the players, we had the people when it comes to be able to deliver, and we did deliver on that note. So our first match against the Czech Republic, Asamoah Gyan scored one of the fastest goals ever recorded in the FIFA World Cup, and we beat Czech by 2-0. I mean, this sort of stunned the whole world, because Czech at the time were second. I mean, you can imagine, and we beat them by 2-0. Then came our second game where we played against USA, and we beat them 2-1. I mean, this was also a very beautiful game. Then came our final match with Italy in the group stages, where we lost 2-0 to Italy. Even though we lost in that game, Ghana put up a very good performance. So we qualified second in our group, and we went into the quarterfinals, or the round of 16, where we played the almighty Brazil. Now, Brazil at the time had the likes of Ronaldo, the original Ronaldo. You understand? The number 9. That guy was a very prolific striker. We had the likes of Z, Roberto, Adriano. I mean, there were a lot of exceptional players in the Brazil team. And Ghana put up a very good performance as well. We had the likes of Sami Kuffour in our team at that time. And Sami Kuffour, I mean, had a slip up, and Ronaldo sort of beat him and scored, I mean, in that game, and they scored three goals against Ghana. But Ghana put up a very good performance. And I remember watching that game, and I was like, our teammates at that time, we were playing to show the world, or to show Brazil that, look, we know how to play football. Instead of focusing on trying to get goals and being clinical in the final third, we were dribbling, holding on the ball, wanted to rub shoulders with them. You understand? And Brazil took that game very easy. I mean, if we talk about percentages, I would say Brazil at the time were playing about 60 or 70% with us in terms of their full power. I mean, they just relaxed. We had lots of chances on the ball, but we weren't able to utilize it now. But if we had been able to utilize our chances in that game, then who knows what could have happened that day, on that day. Yeah. So that was our first appearance at the World Cup in Germany in 2006, where we played these teams in the group of death. Okay, so then came South Africa 2010. I mean, now this World Cup to me was one of the very best World Cups ever. For the first time, the World Cup was being held on the African continent. And I remember at the time I was like, the World Cup is in Africa. This one there, we should try our best to make sure we do a host and win. Once the trophy was in Africa, all the African countries should put up a very good performance for at least an African country to win it. I mean, to me, it was one of our best chances to ever win the World Cup. And I remember a friend saying, if there's what we call juju or agbala in the world, once the African Cup of Nations and once the World Cup was in Africa, that means we had to win it. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. So it was a sad moment where a lot of Ghanaian hearts were broken. I mean, for a lot of reasons, and I'm going to go into that reason. So we were once again placed in Group D for death. I mean, in Group D with the likes of Germany, who were ranked 6th in the world at the time. Serbia were on the 15th of the FIFA ranking, and Australia, who were 20th in the ranking, and also Ghana had moved up from 48th in the previous tournament to 32 in this particular tournament. So the tournament was in Africa. Everybody was excited. We were all excited. I mean, very, very, very difficult games. But again, Ghana put up a very good performance where we were able to beat Serbia by 1-0, a lone goal, and Asamoah got that penalty for us, which gave us a goal. We played a draw with Australia. Again, Asamoah scoring for us. Then we're beaten by Germany by a lone goal. I mean, this was a very, very difficult game, but Ghana managed to hold its own strongly with all these teams. Now, this World Cup was one of our very best World Cups because we finished second in our group, and then we went to the quarterfinals. I mean, our best performance at the World Cup. I mean, going to the quarterfinals, and we nearly almost made it to the semi-finals. We were just fingertips away from reaching the finals. Now, everything to me at the time had aligned. The stars were in alignment for Ghana to move onto the semi-finals, but that Luis Suarez's handball, I mean, stopping the ball from entering that pole. I mean, that guy was just so diabolical. I mean, to me, a pure definition of evil is Luis Suarez, and I sort of didn't like that guy ever since he did that thing. Ever since he did that thing to Ghana, I really didn't like him. But yes, Suarez did that. He prevented Adia from scoring that header where he sort of performed as a goalkeeper. I mean, by catching the ball, and he had a red card and was sent off the pitch. And now our fates were handed into us. I mean, everything was put in our hands for Asamoah to just score that penalty and qualify Ghana to the semi-finals. And unfortunately, Asamoah missed that penalty. I mean, that broke the heart of an entire African nation, because Ghana was the only team, or the only African team that the whole Africa was relying on. Every African country at that time was representing Ghana. All the African continent hope was in Ghana for this particular tournament and this particular match, but unfortunately we weren't able to make it out of the quarterfinals position, and we lost to Uruguay in this match. I mean, I still feel pains when I remember or think about that particular tournament. So that was it. I mean, this was a tournament that introduced the vuvuzela, and the noise decibel in the stadiums were one of the record-breaking noises, and I mean, and in a way, sort of caused the banning of the vuvuzelas in the stadiums. But I'm saying, look, this World Cup was the best to me by so far, and this was World Cup that introduced the Jambulani to the world. The ball that when you kicked would take, I mean, unusual flight path towards the ball, and players had very difficult time mastering the ball and flight of the ball. It was a nightmare for goalkeepers, and one player that sort of mastered the ball, I think, was Diego Forlan, who also played for Uruguay at the time. He was given the ball to practice before the FIFA World Cup, and he sort of studied and understood how the ball works. I mean, he understood the aerodynamics of the football, and this ball was one of the very spherical balls that was ever, I mean, created for the FIFA World Cup. I've done previous series on the FIFA World Cup balls, from how the ball started, the histories of the ball, so you can also check that out in the links below. Right, so Diego Forlan had the opportunity to master the ball, and he sort of did that, and he used that to score against Ghana. So that was it. This was another group of death that Ghana found ourselves in at the FIFA World Cup. It's like our troubles was just going from one to the other. Anytime we're in the World Cup, always playing against a very dangerous opponent, and always finding ourselves in a very difficult group. So the World Cup in 2014 was played in Brazil. I mean, this was a very colorful World Cup, and Ghana once again was placed in a group of death with Germany, USA, and Portugal. Now, this to me was one of the toughest groups that we'd ever played in, because at the time, Germany was ranked second in the world, Portugal was on the 4th position in the world, and the USA was 13th in the world, and Ghana was sitting at the 37th position in the world. Now, I was wondering, why is it that always we are finding ourselves in these sort of groups or pairing with very difficult teams? But Ghana again didn't disappoint. We put up a very good performance. We put up a very strong fight. Now, in the matches, we played a 2-2 draw with Germany, and we were the only team that Germany was not able to beat in this tournament, and they went on to win the actual tournament. So it was a very good game, and to me, and FIFA said it's been one of the very best matches of the FIFA World Cup ever. I mean, it was back to back. I mean, beautiful performance. Germany will score, will equalize, they will score, and they will come back again. I mean, it was a very competitive game, and Ghana did very well. Even Samuel Cowell, who is one of the pioneers of the American Idol, sort of watched the game, and he made a comment about it. This is somebody that actually doesn't like football or is not a football person, but they were able to see the tension, they were able to see the skills and the pace of the game, to say this was one of the best matches that they've ever watched of football. Now, so we played a 2-2 draw with Germany, then we lost against Portugal. Now, this was a very difficult game for us. We lost 2-1 against Portugal. Asamoah Gyan again scoring for Ghana, and I think in this game, Asamoah Gyan became one of the highest African players who have scored in the World Cup. Then we played a 2-1 loss with USA. I mean, so the USA scored 2, and then Ghana scored 1. Now, John Boy had an own goal in this game, which sort of made the game very difficult for us to win at this point. So, I mean, this was one of the toughest matches we'd played, and it was exciting to see how our things were going in the World Cup at the time. The 2014 World Cup performance was, I would say, one of the very bad performances for us. We finished at the bottom of the table. I mean, it wasn't a good sight at all. We weren't able to make it out of the group stages. But our game with Germany sort of redeemed that tournament for us. I mean, this was the tournament where John Boy and co were pictured taking money and all those things. I mean, there was a whole lot of issues, payment going on behind the scenes. So I think the players' mindset and things weren't that good. And as at the time, Muntawi and Kelvin Prince Boateng had issues with some of the management team and coaches and stuff. I mean, there were a lot of issues going on at the time. So I think sort of affected our performance at this particular tournament. The 2022 World Cup was held in Qatar for the first time. And for the first time, the FIFA World Cup had to do a lot of changes to get the tournament over to our brothers in, should I say the East? Yes. In the Arabs, I mean, in those areas. So a lot of things have changed, weather conditions, a lot of stadiums and stadia were built with air conditioning system. I mean, Qatar pumped a lot of money was invested into this tournament. And it was a beautiful, beautiful tournament, I mean, in my opinion. No, so we were placed in Group H. I mean, and again, another group of death. But this group to me wasn't as deadly as the previous group, but it was still deadly. So we were placed in the Group H. Now, this group had Portugal, who were on the 9th ranking on the FIFA table, Uruguay, who were 14th on the table, South Korea, who were 28th on the table, and Ghana sitting at the 61st position on the FIFA ranking. I mean, this was a tough group, but wasn't that tough to me anyway. But it was still a tough group because all the opponents were very lethal. Now, in an anticipated or revenge match, we had Uruguay in our group, and the whole country were up in arms, and I mean, we wanted to revenge that World Cup in 2010 so badly that this revenge was 12 years in the making. So we lost against Portugal. We lost in that game 3-2. Portugal scored us 3-2, and Cristiano Ronaldo had that penalty awarded, which in my opinion wasn't a penalty at all. VAR had been introduced at that time, and I mean, there were lots of issues going on at the time. So we lost to Portugal 3-2. Then we had our revenge against Uruguay with Dede Ayew missing that penalty, and our savior in this tournament was Mohamed Kudus. Now, at this time, Ghana had produced new talents who were doing very well in their professional careers. Kudus playing, I mean, and outside and in Ajax and all that. I mean, we had very good players. So we were steady. We had Inaki Williams and all these players playing elsewhere in Europe. Then we played South Korea and we beat them 3-2. I mean, this was a very tough game to watch because it was filled with a lot of emotions, and even after the game you could see the South Korean players crying. Some if I pronounce the name right, was sort of in tears about the tournament and everything, because I think this was his last tournament. So we beat them. We won 2 games, but unfortunately we weren't able to qualify to the next stage, which was the quarterfinals, because of goal differences, and Uruguay, or I think South Korea, had to go into the next round. I think it was Uruguay. They had to go into the next round because of goal aggregate and goal difference with Portugal. So that was our performance at Qatar. I mean, it was a good tournament, but yet again weren't able to progress to the next stage, even though we had won two games. So why is Ghana always in a group of death for the FIFA World Cup? I mean, could it be because we always find ourselves in pot 3 and 4, and then the top seeded teams, which are in pot 1 and 2. So because of the pairing, we always find ourselves in this group of death, because constantly we've been pitched against top 15 ranked teams in the FIFA World Cup at every tournament. You find from 1st to 15th, we'll play one of them. I mean, always. So let me give you the breakdown. So in 2006, it was Italy in the 13th position, and then Czech Republic in the 2nd position. you see where it's going. In 2010, we had Germany in the 6th ranking for FIFA and Serbia in the 15th position. Now in 2014, we had Germany who were in 2nd position, Portugal who were in 4th position, and USA who were in the 13th position. You can imagine from 1 to 15, all of them are in there. And every time we are playing one of them. I mean, this also was a very tough one for us. So in Qatar 2022, I would say this was one of the weakest because we had Portugal in the 9th position and then Uruguay in the 14th position. I mean, but this was still a very deadly group. So like I said, this one was the softest group of death that we've had, but in almost every tournament we find ourselves in these sorts of positions. All right, so for USA Canada 2026, the situation in a way is not that different. Why am I saying this? Yet again, we find ourselves in Port L, right? And who are the teams that we're going to play? We are playing England, who are 4th in the world currently. Now, we've all been watching the English Premiership, and we know England has a very good side. So they are 4th in the world. Then again, we have what? Croatia. Croatia are 11th on the FIFA ranking. I mean, Croatia is also a very good team. I mean, a very good team, and it's not easy at all. Then we have Panama, who are 33 on the FIFA ranking, and Ghana is on the 72nd position on the FIFA ranking. Yeah. So that's it for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Finding ourselves in Group L with England, Croatia, and Panama. And I'm praying Ghana is able to make it out of this tournament and hopefully progress. And they say if wishes were horses, beggars will ride, and possibly win the FIFA World Cup. This will be the first time an African country wins the World Cup, and if it does happen, it will be one of the very most exciting days in my life, and I'm sure in the lives of many Ghanaians and Africans in the whole. But I mean, is this a curse, or is football giving us the opportunity to rise up and show the world what we can do? Because if we are placed in a very soft group and we just bulldoze our way through, doesn't mean that we are the very best. Or when we play in the tough groups and we are able to make it out into the next stage, then it shows that yes, Ghana is a formidable opponent when it comes to football in general. I mean, what are your opinions on this? What do you think? And what do you think our chances of making it past the group stages are? I mean, what are your predictions? Just give me anything. Let's have a chat. So Ghana might always find itself in a group of death. I mean, seeded in a group of death. But football is not about where you are seated, but how you are able to rise onto the occasion. All right, so it's been another exciting episode of Field of Play. My name is Ellie. Kindly subscribe and tell a friend to tell a friend. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.